I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we explore the powerful and emotional journey of healing, self-discovery, and generational trauma. We're talking with a terrific author. Her name is Julie Yetter, and she joins us to discuss her transformative novel, Awake, O Sleeper, Mothers, Daughters, Sisters, Others. It is a gripping story that follows 5 generations of women and the struggles that bind them. If you've ever wrestled with breaking cycles, reclaiming your identity, or finding peace through personal growth, this is a book that is just right for you. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. We ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Julie, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
It's my pleasure. I'm super thrilled about this.
I'm thrilled to have you on the show. The book is terrific. What made you decide to explore the theme of generational trauma?
It's interesting because that word isn't even a word that originally was part of what I was thinking. I saw this as every family I've ever known has these stories in their family that to us can seem funny or dramatic or stuff of movies. But then when we really start thinking about who we are, we realize that it's done a lot to shape who we are.
Yeah.
And so for me, these 5 women were always sort of larger than life, and I saw them as very strong women. But as I really thought about it and started talking to my mom, particularly about them, I realized that for them, this was very difficult at the time that they were going through things, and they really struggled. And I ended up hearing an interview with Jordan Peterson where he talked about how everybody has trauma in their life. And I had thought of that more as, you know, you were abused as a kid or you went through PTSD as a warrior. And I really started to realize, yeah, that's right. The way you overcome these kind of struggles is you view them like, okay, this is a trauma in my life, and what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right. Everybody's got some type of cross to bear. I mean, obviously, some people have it worse and other
Yes.
people have it better, but everybody's dealing with something. These 5 women, are they women you actually knew, and this is a fictionalized story about their lives? Tell us about the
Yes.
etymology of these characters.
Yes. There are 5 women in my mom's line, my mom's
Maternal.
line, maternal line. And I knew my mom and my mom's mom, but I didn't have an opportunity to know the other women personally, but their stories were told over and over again in our family.
Give us an overview of the story of these 5 women.
Okay, so the first woman that you meet is just in the prologue. You don't get to see much of her after that. And I've renamed all the women. So in the book, her name is Gloria. And she chose to divorce in the late 1800s because her husband was a drunk and an alcoholic and just couldn't really give her family stability. And so even back then, that was just unheard of. And so she has a prayer at the beginning of the book that her generations will understand why she did what she did. And then her daughter, she ends up remarrying. So her daughter ends up experiencing a lot of what we would consider abuse, what her stepfather thought was just really strong discipline. And she ends up deciding that she has to leave, but she's only 15. But she actually has fallen in love with someone who's much older than her because her mother runs a boarding house in Butte, Montana. Butte, Montana is the center of the story because it's very Irish miners. Anyway, she also ends up marrying someone who she's very much in love with, but who has a lot of challenging aspects to her life that make her life very unstable. So she also ends up divorcing for very different reasons than her mother. And so we get this cycle of relationship difficulties. And then it goes through my grandmother, who finds herself pregnant out of
Mhm.
wedlock when she's 18. And she and the person she loves, her partner, actually end up making it, and they end up
Mm.
together. But they have this struggle at the beginning
Yeah.
with this unplanned pregnancy. And that ends up being my mom.
Mhm.
My mom swings to the other end of the pendulum because she's never going to, rely on other people. She's just going to be independent so that she doesn't have these hardships. Well, that's a hardship in itself.
Yeah.
And so um, I know that that I received both strength from these women,
Mhm.
but also a tendency towards some of these same uh, challenges.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. It's an interesting study, no doubt, of your family and other people's families because
Yes.
everybody's got these type of commonalities, no doubt. Awake or Sleeper? Talk to us a little bit about the title.
So Faith, who's the main character, who's actually not me, it's kind of a combination of me and my daughters. She is the character who finds herself kind of in a dark place. I don't know if you've ever heard the dark night of the soul, but that's where she
Mhm.
finds herself. And at the very beginning of the book, we discover that she's ended up in a behavioral unit of a hospital, psych
Mhm.
ward, for having taken too many sleeping pills. You get to decide as the reader through the narrative of the book whether or not she did that on purpose or whether that was an accident, but she certainly wanted to escape her life.
Yeah.
And so her journey is growing to understand herself through these stories, but also just her own life and
Mm.
how she's going to cope with having landed in the psych ward. And they keep her 3 days, and that's her awakening. And
Mm.
so she she has an awakening, an enlightenment, a resurrection, and when she leaves, it's just the beginning of her story, but
Mm.
she's starting to deal with these things.
Very cool. Very cool. Have you envisioned this as a film or a TV series? I think more TV series than film, I guess, because there's a lot of characters, there's a lot there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how my brain works. I love
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
and particularly short series on streaming or TV.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a powerful way to tell stories.
It is.
So yes, I have thought of it that way. In fact, for me writing it, that's how I viewed it, was just thinking through scenery and
Yeah.
what characters would have been like.
Yep. Thinking visually is a
It's
great
fun.
way to write, and it lends itself to screenplays down the road. So, Netflix, Amazon, if you're listening, this would
Yes.
be a great series. I can see 8 parts on this, no doubt. I think it would be great. Why do you think so many families struggle with repeating unhealthy patterns?
I've thought a lot about that. I think part of it is that those we're very impressionable when we're growing up, and those
Mm.
are the examples that we have, and they
Right.
aren't usually all bad. And so
Right.
we are emulating who those people are, both good and bad.
Exactly. That I agree 100%. I think we tend to make the same mistakes as our parents and our ancestors because that's our comfort level. If you had
Yes.
a dad who drank a lot, if you have a boyfriend who drinks a lot, so, everybody
Right.
drinks a lot in your worldview as a 19, 20, or 21-year-old. Um, you know, he smacks me occasionally. Well, dad smacked mom occasionally, so
Right.
it's your normal, so
Right.
you don't
It
see
is.
anything odd about it. And then until you get around other people, like he hits you or she hits you.
Right.
So I think that is an important aspect of your book. Was there anything that you learned about yourself, about your family, about society that surprised you when you were writing this book and researching it?
Oh yeah. Um, I used to be a teacher,
Hmm.
and I really started to write this book, I think, as I would go to bed at night and I would try and go to sleep, so I would remember this story and kind of play it out in my mind. So I think that I was at that time kind of working through my own issues all along.
Mm.
But definitely as a young woman, I had a lot of these same tendencies. And like Faith, at a certain point, decided I don't like myself very much.
Mm.
and I don't like this life very much. And so that really started a journey that has lasted now 40 years of
Yeah.
who do I want to be? And I get to take hold of that and make choices.
Yeah.
It doesn't, life, I have this saying in the book, and it's definitely one I've said to my students: life doesn't have to happen to you. You
Yeah.
get to choose, and that's the consequences of your life.
Exactly. Be proactive.
Right.
Don't be reactive, choose what you want to do and go out there and get it and seize it. How long have you been writing this book? Were you writing it in your book in your mind for decades and then eventually put it down on paper? Or is this
Pretty
something?
much. I
Yeah,
think I was writing it in pieces, over the years.
yeah,
It took me a year to write it because I was still working. And, but I think I'd been writing it in my head for a long time.
yeah. I think that's why authors' first works are often their best work, is because it was a lifetime in the making. Not that your next book won't be as good, but
Well, thanks.
that's that's just my thought. Are you going to work on a next book? Do you have another book in mind?
It's in my head.
Okay,
It's
good. Well,
kind
you're
of a
working on it
continuing.
already. And will it also deal with your family, or it'll be something different?
Uh, Two things going on. One, I think I am going to continue Faith's story a little bit,
Mhm.
on on the next leg of her journey.
Mhm.
Also, I've been writing a blog, and
Mhm.
I'm hopeful to turn that into sort of a 52 weeks of change,
Good.
transformation, um, which is, again, part of what Faith's going through, but more extensively, how to help ourselves to grow.
Great. Before I leave you, let me ask you, what do you hope readers take away from the book? And what do you hope they take away from Faith's time in that psychiatric ward?
Um, there's no shame in your journey, no matter where it takes you. If it takes you to a psych ward, that's okay. And we're all on this journey, so take hold of it and choose for yourself who you want to be.
Yeah. Exactly. That is a choice we all can make,
Yeah.
and should make, and not let it be made for us, as you pointed
Yes.
out earlier. Wonderful. The name of the book is Awake or Sleeper: Mothers, Daughters, Sisters, Others. It is a gripping story that follows 5 generations of women and the struggles that bind them. If you've ever wrestled with breaking cycles, reclaiming your identity, or finding peace through personal growth, this is a book that'll be just right for you. Julie, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much.
I
I have a
appreciate your
question for
time.
you. Are you still playing with the Martians?
Am I still playing with? Oh, that was my favorite group of commercials, playing with the Martians. I love those. I wish. That was, for the folks at home who don't know what Julie's talking about, that's the Mercury insurance commercials, I presume you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. They need to resurrect those. I think those are the best commercials they ever had, in my
They
humble
were. They were
opinion,
fun.
without a doubt. Thanks again, Julie. To the folks at
Thank you.
home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.